So this is Linda Lysakowski with our quick tip of the day. And today's question comes from a frustrated development officer who says, we've had to cancel our major fundraising event. This is typically an event that raises between 50 and 70% of our income for the year, and we've had to cancel it due to the current pandemic situation. And I'm really at a loss. Help, what do I do now? Well, interestingly enough, the answer to this question, I think, came on a tweet that I received just yesterday, I believe it was, that said, if there's one thing that hopefully nonprofits learned during this pandemic, it's not to become so reliant on special events. So I know it's a little too late for you now to tell you this, but you should never, ever rely on one special event to cover 50% or more of your income. And I've had organizations that have been in that situation way before this pandemic hit. I used to live in the northeast part of the country where snowstorms were a pretty common occurrence. And right now, in addition to the pandemic, we're suffering from major fires, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, just you name it. It just seems like the end of the world is coming. And for organizations that were dependent on special events, it's really a struggle for them now to figure out how to come away and still not shut their doors. And I think what I consider one of the worst fundraising appeals I've ever gotten was one I got on Facebook from an organization that said, help, we had to cancel our event and we're going to have to close our doors if we don't raise X number of dollars in the next couple of weeks. Well, that to me indicates very poor planning. So I think it starts with planning special events not as your major focus of your fundraising, but as part of an overall development plan. If you're dependent solely on special events, you're going to find yourselves in a situation like one of my clients in the northeast part of the country that had their event scheduled, and that night there was a major snowstorm. There was no cars allowed on the road except for emergency vehicles. So needless to say, they had to cancel their event. And sometimes people will still come through and say, well, I was planning to attend the event, so keep the donation I made for the tickets. I know you need the money. But if you don't get yourself into that situation in the first place, you're much better off. So you can, in an emergency, come up with some appeals, but don't make them sound like, well, it's due to our poor planning that we were counting on this event. Try to make it sound like we have more of a need now than ever to serve our clients, and we really need your support. So you might consider doing something like that or hosting a virtual event. But the better thing to do is plan for the future so you don't get yourself into that kind of a situation. That special events are maybe one or two a year, no more than that, I would suggest, and that they don't account for all of your revenue, because that can really get you in a bad situation no matter what. You just never know when something is going to happen that's going to make you cancel an event. And sometimes we just kind of roll along thinking this will never happen to us, but it does. So I would suggest you might want to take a look at my course, which is called The 12-Step Cure to Event Addiction. And many organizations, sadly, are addicted to special events because it's the only thing they know. So we'll teach you in that course, first of all, how to evaluate your special events and find out what you're really making. You may not be making as much money as you think you are, because when you take into account the soft costs and the opportunity costs, the staff time, the volunteer time, all those things cost you money in the long run. So we'll teach you how to evaluate your events, to choose one that might be, or maybe two at the most, that might be good for your organization, but then how to diversify your funding into other areas so you're not totally dependent on any one event or activity. So if you click this link, you'll be able to take that course, The 12-Step Cure to Event Addiction. And I hope this will help you in planning for the future. And I hope to see you in our next quick tip, and I hope to see you in my course. Bye.